video. It's actually a suggestion that was given to us that we make a video explaining some about who we are and how we got to where we are, financially speaking. How do we rack up all this debt? A lot of the details are somewhat intimate, so to speak. Not something we've shared with a whole lot of people, but we want to share them because we feel like there's a whole lot of people out there in very similar situations to us who have professional jobs, who look like they're successful on the outside, but who have a lot of debt and are struggling. And that very much describes how we are. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. I think on the outside we look like your typical American family. You're a professional engineer, I'm a stay-at-home mom, but there's a lot more to it than that.
So we'll start out by apologizing because we have a lot of kids running around who will be interrupting us at various different points in time in making the video. You'll probably hear them in the background, but this is life and you're just going to have to experience it with us. So we thought a good place for us to start would be when we got married. Maybe even give you a little bit of the history before we got married. But when I went to talk to her dad about can I marry her, I was probably around 18 years old. I was in my first year, my freshman year of college, and I had no job. I had no spot to live really other than the little apartment I was living in. And I really didn't have a plan for how I was going to provide for her. So I'm very surprised now thinking back to it that he said yes. And I've asked him about that since then, and he said basically that he knew we were right for each other and he knew that we would make it work somehow, and God took care of us and it did. But she definitely did a lot of work before we got married, did a lot more preparation, and I'll let you tell a little bit about where you were.
Well, I was blessed to be raised in a family that could not help me financially. I started buying all my own clothes and things at a very young age, even as young as 12 and 13 years old. And I knew that to have anything or to do anything or to get anywhere in life that I would have to work really hard. And one day I was down on my parents' chicken farm picking up dead chickens, and the neighbor's black Labrador retriever came over, and the neighbors offered to let me have that dog, and that was the beginning of a dog breeding business for me. I got up to where I had 4 labs that I was breeding and breeding dogs for other people, and it became very lucrative for me. I was able to save up, pay cash for a car, pay cash for 3 missions. And that, in addition to a cleaning business that I started, was able to provide for the down payment on our first home. So we started out very blessed. Daniel had bought a tiny little rental house in his hometown for around $30,000, and then I had enough that we could put a down payment on a home for us. So we knew we were extremely blessed.
And even more than that, she had the money to purchase the furniture to furnish the house. Another blessing is just a few days before we got married. We were married on May 24th, and on May the 19th, I actually started a job working for the Virginia Department of Transportation. I still remember I was making $10.30 an hour. It doesn't sound like much, and really it wasn't, but it was all that we needed. I think we were bringing home like $1,500 a month, and but that's all we needed. When people talk about living off of love, that's kind of where we were. I would go to work my 40 hours, come home, and we would sit on the couch and visit with each other. Those were really good days.
Yes, we dated for 5 years before we got married, and he was in Virginia the whole time and I was in Georgia. And so that first summer was really the first time that we were able to spend a significant amount of time together. And it was a summer full of love, that's for sure. It was a very special time for us.
Yeah. And one thing that did happen, we had the plan, because she had worked so hard before we got married, and we had a brand new house, and her real dream was to be a homemaker. I really wanted her to have that first summer. just to put our house together, enjoy the decorating, and just to have the summer off from working because she had worked so hard. My job was really just a summer internship, and when I returned to school that August, our plan was that she would have to then go and get a job, and she would be the one making the money while I was in school. But surprise, surprise, just 3 months after we were married, she got pregnant with Isaac. And really, we were still going to continue with that plan, but...
Yeah, I had signed up for 12 credit hours at the community college, and I had started advertising to clean houses in the area, even cleaned one.
Yeah.
After we found out I was pregnant. And then around 6.5 weeks into the pregnancy, I got extremely debilitatingly sick to the point where I was throwing up at my college classes in the bathroom, hanging over the toilet, and missing half of my classes. So at that point, I was forced to drop all but one of my classes. I hung on to a Spanish class that was easy for me. And I was unable to work. I spent my days running back and forth from the toilet to the bed, and it was not exactly how we were hoping things would go. I wanted a big family, and I thought I would have picture-perfect pregnancies like my mom, but that was just not in God's plan for us, I guess. You know, there was more to it than that.
But yeah, we were definitely blessed. Being that I was already working for the Virginia Department of Transportation, I went ahead and went and spoke with them and asked them if my summer internship, if I could continue working through the year. And they looked at it and they said they had the budget for me to continue doing that. And so I planned all my classes. I tried to get them all on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. They made for very long days. But that gave me 3 days a week that I could work for the Virginia Department of Transportation. And if there wasn't a whole lot going on, sometimes I could also get my homework done during those 3 days a week. And I'd work as long as I could. I averaged about 30 hours a week, and that's kind of what we lived on while we were going through that stage of life. Also, we were blessed. We filled out the FAFSA, and we were eligible to receive some grants. And then we, of course, took advantage of all the grants we could get. I received some other scholarships. I really started going after scholarships pretty hard. And so we were very blessed. I received several other different scholarships in addition to the grants. The one thing that was not advisable, that was probably in hindsight maybe a bad decision, was we also had school loans available to us. We really didn't need those school loans. But we went ahead and took them anyways. We pretty much took the maximum that was available to us. There were 0% interest and 0 payments while I was in school, and then the interest and payments would begin once I graduated. But we took the full value of those loans and we invested in them in the stock market. At that time, the stock market, we could make about 10% a year. It was just really doing well at that point in time. And so we thought, well, while it's 0% interest, we'll put it here, let it do well, and then when I graduate, we'll pull that money out and we'll pay those school loans back, and we'll save all the money that we made on top of it. But it didn't necessarily work that way. Just a few months after Isaac was born, he was born on May the 8th of 2004, and just 6 months after he was born, Lindsay was pregnant again.
Yes, well, that was quite a surprise. I had been nursing Isaac, and of course he was only 6 months old. We were thrilled to find out it would be another little boy, and we would have 2 boys 15 months apart. And we knew they would be the best of friends, and that's definitely exactly what's happened.
Yeah, we are very blessed. In hindsight, we wouldn't do it any differently, I don't believe. One difficulty that caused is that our townhome that we were living in, which was only 900 square feet, got a little bit cramped.
Yeah, there was really no closet space and no storage, no outbuildings. So, yeah, it got challenging.
So we began looking for a bigger place for our growing family to live, and we found a house on Chocked Trail, and it was 1,800 square feet. So we were doubling our square footage, and it was just a nice home, and we were definitely blessed. The down payment for that, all those school loans that we had invested in the stock market, we pulled those out, and that became our down payment for our Chocked Trail house.
Yeah, we were blessed to have that house too, because it needed some work. At the time, the real estate market was doing really well, and we knew if it continued that way, the plan was to fix it up while we lived there, and then when the boys got around 7 and 8, and we started wanting a good yard for them, that we could sell it and make a profit on it.
Yeah.
So that's not really what happened, but had the market kept going up the way we thought.
Yeah. And then it came time for me to graduate school. I actually stayed to get my master's degree, which added a little bit over a year to my time in school. And the Lord provided for that as well. And it came time for me to graduate, and we got the itch to go on an adventure. And we looked really all over the world for jobs. I remember looking at jobs in Europe and South America. We wanted somewhere safe for our family to live, and but yet somewhere different. And we didn't end up with a job overseas, but we ended up deciding on a job that took us to Williamsburg, Virginia, which is the home of Busch Gardens and Colonial Williamsburg. You got Jamestown just down the road, Yorktown. A lot of American history happened right there. It's the top family vacation destination in the United States. So we thought, what better place to have our adventure? So we moved to Williamsburg.
Yeah, we had a great time there the first few weeks we were there. I was feeling good. We just had the 2 boys, so we weren't too overwhelmed. And even though our apartment was tiny, it really didn't matter because I was able to get out pretty easy. And soon after we got there, we found out that I was expecting our 3rd child, and we were thrilled. I was still really wanting a girl. I had my 2 boys whom I love dearly, but I just couldn't stop thinking about bows and dresses. But the challenge that presented that time was, of course, I got extremely sick. I didn't know anybody in Williamsburg, and it was hard to be that sick and not know anyone. And then Daniel was working, 12 hours?
I would leave the house before the kids got up for bed and get back often after they had already gone to sleep. And the Lord provided. He sent some help. There's several families who we've remained in touch with, have a relationship with to this day, came to our rescue. And their older children came over and helped us with our kids.
It was from a mother of 10 children under the age of 13, and she called offering to bring food and offering to give up some of her older daughters to help me out with the boys. And it just touched me in a way that's hard to describe. The one person in the church who was so overwhelmed and had so little resources to give was the one who reached out to me and offered to give more than anyone else. And it just reminded me of that story in the Bible where the woman who gave, Jesus talks about the woman who gave her her 1 penny, even though several people gave more, but they had far more resources than she had. And I think the Bruce family reaching out to us during that time just made a lifelong impact on me.
Yeah. And so while we were living there, and I was working a great deal, we actually started making some good financial decisions. We decided to start paying off some of my school loans. We also started working on paying off the loan on the house that I bought before we were married, which was a rental home. And so while we were living in Williamsburg in that 1 year period of time, we paid off $14,000 of school loans. And we also were able to pay off the house that I owned as a rental home.
Yeah, while we were there, it was just a great time to live cheaply because, with his company paying the rent, and the boys were little enough they weren't eating much yet, so we were able to keep our household and food expenses to just $50 a week during that time. And we shopped at thrift stores, and we used cloth diapers on the boys. And it was exciting. We would have these financial meetings once a week and get all excited about the progress we were making. And it was a lot of fun.
Essentially, we were doing Dave Ramsey without even knowing what Dave Ramsey was.
Right. We'd never heard of him at that point.
So we were making some good decisions, and we got a lot of traction, and we went somewhere. But we decided that I was just working a little bit too much. I was gone away from the family a little bit too much. And so we wanted me to be around the family a little bit more. And so after Grace was born, we had decided, we had several different enticing offers for employment. The one that we chose was one that would take me back to my hometown, Bluefield, where I grew up. And what was really enticing about it was a small construction company, and the owner was getting close to retirement, and the opportunity existed there for me to take over his company after he retired and own a company of my own. So that was very enticing to me.
That was his dream, really, to have his own company and to hopefully have jobs for the boys as they got older, to be able to work with them. So that made that offer very, very appealing.
Yeah. And so that was in the year 2007, I believe, that we decided to do that, which was just before the big financial downturn, what everybody terms as a real estate crash. And it really hit this small contractor hard. And when I came to work for him, he had 3 crews going, and when I left, he only had 1 crew going. They ended up laying me off just 9 months after I came to work for them. And so this kind of began a period of time where we started making some bad financial decisions. One of the bad decisions was that we chose to purchase our house in Bluefield before we ever saw it. While we were still living in Williamsburg, we never even saw the house.
Yeah, that was definitely probably at the top of our dumb list.
I don't know about it. That's definitely not the top.
Well, near the top, I guess.
Yeah. But that's definitely a bad decision to purchase a house, and that having never seen it. The reason we did it was because we didn't want to camp out in my parents' house while we were looking for a property and waiting to close on a property. So we went ahead and decided to buy a house to keep that from happening. But what actually ended up happening is we moved to Bluefield, and we discovered that this house that we had never seen had some significant issues with it.
Full of mold.
Yeah, it was full of mold, made her sick. So we ended up camping in my parents' house while we worked on the house to get it into a condition where we could move our family into it.
Yes, and with 3 children under the age 3 and under, and a house full of antiques and family heirlooms, it was quite stressful, but we made it.
Yeah. So when I was laid off from my job working for the small construction company, we had just gone to a free seminar on real estate investing, which has always been a love of both mine and Lindsay. We both enjoy real estate. And so at that free seminar, we purchased another class for just $500. And to learn more about real estate investing and how do these big real estate investors grow and grow so quickly. We went to the $500 class, which I believe was in Richmond, Virginia. And while there, really all it was something to get you really pumped up about real estate, really enthusiastic about it, and let you know you really didn't know anything and you were going to have to purchase more education to figure out how to do it. So we, of course, got really pumped up, and I'd just been laid off of my job. In my mind, this was the decision that tops our dumb decisions. So we decided we're going to make real estate investing our career. And we invested that day, at that $500 class, we invested $34,000 in real estate education.
Dum, 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 dum.
And we got that $34,000 by taking out an equity loan against a property. The one property we had paid off, the very first rental property that I owned, we took out an equity loan of $34,000 against that property. And that started our real estate career. After that, we sold our townhome because we had a pretty good equity position in our townhome, and that gave us about $40,000 if I remember correctly. And our plan was to live on that $40,000 while we got our real estate business up and running. It was maybe a halfway decent, thoughtful plan, but we ended up using a good portion of that $40,000 on even more real estate education. We estimate at the end of the day, with all our travel expenses and hotel stays and that sort of thing, going to these various different real estate seminars and other education, we spent close to $50,000 on real estate education, basically teaching us how to be very creative, to go in debt, to use OPM, other people's money, to acquire real estate. And we were actually very successful at using other people's money to buy real estate. At our high water mark, we had 56 units of rental property and over $2 million of debt. So I was enjoying it very much. I loved every second of going into debt. Not the debt itself, but I loved, it was just like an open frontier, and I was a cowboy, and the horizon was out there, and there was no limits. And so I was excited about what I was doing, but at the same time, we were really struggling at home to pay our bills. I was struggling to earn enough income off those 56 units of real estate to actually support us.
Yeah, we did chase down a couple of utility trucks.
Yeah, to my great embarrassment.
But, you know, we can look back and laugh and, you know, just be grateful that we learned.
Yeah.
You know, we learned a lot of good lessons.
Yeah.
For it all. So hopefully lessons that our kids will learn through us and not make the same mistakes that we made.
Yeah. But I mean, like she said, we were struggling financially, and the opportunity came up. There was a construction project really close to our house, and I started pursuing the different companies that were involved in this construction project, heavy highway construction project, to try to get a job there. And I went for a few interviews and was made a halfway decent offer. And I came home. I still remember coming home to you and saying, "Hey, I've got an offer for $50,000 to come work for this company." And she didn't think twice about it. You said,
I basically, after, you know, all the times that we had spent struggling, just demanded that he take the job. I just said, "This is the Lord. It has fallen in your lap."
She said,
"You gotta take
the job." Take the job. She said, "Take the job." Yeah, I'm sure we prayed about it, but we decided to take that job. Of course, at that time, I was going to try to continue some of the real estate and work the job. But at that point in time, our small little real estate empire, it was like it would start crumbling, and we'd have to run over here and prop it up. And then by the time you got it propped up over here, it would be crumbling over here. It really required a full-time person to keep that thing propped up and operational. And once I took on my job, we realized that we were a disaster waiting to happen. So we started as quickly as we could to unload these real estate properties. I had always prided myself on that. I felt we had enough assets there to cover all the liabilities. But at the end of the day, we're still in the process of getting rid of the last few rental properties, and come to find out we're going to have about $30,000 of debt Dave Ramsey calls it stupid tax. It's definitely stupid tax on our part, but $30,000 of debt that there was no asset to cover it.
And this was the $30,000 that you saw on the marker board if you watched the first episode of Radical Riches. So
yeah,
that's what it is.
So I think we're just about there to have those properties sold, and the bank thankfully is going to make us a loan back for that $30,000, and then we're just going to have to buckle down and get it paid. Some of the other things that we've done while I was in my real estate investing career, she got pregnant with Mercy.
Yeah, we had 2 miscarriages before that.
That's true.
The second one on Christmas Day had really broken our hearts. And so we were just thrilled to have Mercy. She was such a sweet blessing to our family. So at that point, that made 4 kids under the age of 5 for us, and that became my life. That was all I could do from that point on.
Yeah. And then, even after I'd taken the job with the company that I now work for, she got pregnant with number 5, Susanna.
Yes. Susanna did come 3 years behind Mercy, which made it a little bit easier, I think.
And we started to figure out what was causing that.
Yes. We're so blessed, even though, I thought I wanted a big family. 5 has just turned out to be the perfect number for us.
Yeah. And so, but once we had the 5th child, our house on Chinkopin Trail started to get small for us. Once again, that 1,800 square feet wasn't quite as large as it used to be.
Yeah.
And so we started looking at what options were available to us to get a larger spot. And we finally settled that to get what we wanted, we were tired of moving so much, so to get what we wanted, where we wanted it, we were going to have to build. And we really felt like we could get more house for the money if we built, as long as I did pretty much all of the construction work. So that was the decision that we made. And as much as I love the house that we're in, and I love where we're at, it really probably was not a smart financial thing for us to do. We took out a construction loan. I was the contractor. Well, all those stories are for probably another day. We could fill up another couple videos just telling stories about our life while building this house. Some of the things we did to save money was we lived in a camper for an aggregate of about 6 months of the time, and we lived like third world savages. Our kids their skin would be the color of this table right here at the end of the day, because they'd just be covered with dust and dirt from the construction project. And my dad helped, and Lindsay's dad helped, and various different friends helped, and we got our house built. But I didn't really understand how construction loans worked and how hard it would be to get to the next point in time when we take a draw. And also along the way, we saw various different ways where we could increase the quality of our home for just a little bit more, because we shopped really hard on Craigslist, and for just a little bit more we could get hardy siding on the side of our house rather than vinyl, and for just a little bit more we could have hardwood floors, yeah, and for just a little bit more we could have a granite countertop. So we took most all those upgrades, because there's never a better time to do it than the first time. And but because of that, we really ran over budget fairly significantly. To cover that over the budget, we used credit cards, we used loans from like Home Depot, and then we also borrowed some money from family. We used extra money that we were able to make along the way, such as tax returns, bonuses, that sort of thing. And then even our family even gave us money at various different points in time. But at the end of the day, we were left with a mess. And that's really where the majority of our debt that we put up on the board comes from. Of course, we've paid off the family. for the most part. We've paid off the credit cards, and we're left with Home Depot. We're left with a little bit of family debt still in there, and we're left with this $30,000 of stupid tax.
Yes. And now we're in our 30s, and we're a lot, hopefully, older, wiser, got a few more gray hairs, and
Gray beard.
we're ready to do things right and never go in debt again. And we're excited to be where we are now.
Yeah. And so we're really hoping that through this journey that you'll join us. We are hoping that it's an inspiration to you. We're hoping that you leave comments that are an inspiration to us. We certainly desire your prayers.
Yes, and if you're on a similar journey, please message us. Let us know how we can pray for you and encourage you.
And we'd like to join you in your journey.
Thanks for watching us.
Yeah, thank you.